10 manipulation tactics. Which ones have you encountered? Ever felt that someone else is in control of your decisions, way more than you have? Everyone gets manipulated at some point in time, in most cases, unknowingly. That's how the manipulators get better off you. And you are left perplexed to thinking, why did you even do what they expected you to? Manipulation is a sweeping tactic that is exerted in relationships of the modern day. It not only allows one to have greater control over the other, but is exploitative to the extent of creating trauma. The reasons for manipulation can be bounteous, but you can begin your listing with personal gains, attention, power, and money, and then you can go on to add as many that strikes your mind. Manipulation can be exercised in any relationship, from personal to professional. However, it can be classified into two categories, the first being the ethical kind, while the other being the unethical one. To recognize a manipulator, you first need to know the manipulative tactics or behaviors they exercise to oblige you to do what they want. If one tries to manipulate you by maintaining a certain degree of ethical consideration, then they are most likely to 1. Invoke responsibility. You must have been held accountable for having promised to do something. For example, having told a friend sketchily enough that you would watch a particular movie together the following weekend. The friend reminds you of that pact and makes you feel responsible for making the plan work. By doing that, they invoke responsibility, and you end up doing the exact thing, although your strict schedule does not permit it. Simply put, you feel obligated to go watch the movie on the exact day rather than being comfortable requesting your friend to make it work some other time. 2. Exercise reasoning. Reasoning can both be ethically and unethically used to push you to do what the manipulator desires. The other person exercises logical explanation as to why you should do something they want you to do, and eventually you give in to the reasons they cite. It is the same thing people weaponize in times of an argument. That is, they sling their justification like arrows, and if you are hit, you are convinced. 3. Induce pleasure. Ever heard someone tell you, let's do this? It is going to be an enthralling experience. People who do that remind you how you would feel after having done the deed. They lure you into thinking of some kind of pleasure you would gain through the activity and compel you to agree. But the point is, do you actually feel that way, or do you feel a compulsion? Many a time, we undervalue our positive emotions, and our friends remind us of those pleasures that are important. Such manipulations are selfless and are bereft of any harm. On the contrary, almost typically, manipulators are found bewitching you unethically. The most common behaviors you would experience are 4. Cast charm. For some manipulators, it is pretty easy-peasy to attract you towards them or to the act. They may get flirty or rightly identify your vulnerabilities to fascinate you into doing the thing. They make you feel how you would impress them by choosing to do exactly what they want. And that's how you get enmeshed. In other words, beware who you find charming. 5. Silent treatment. A dangerous tactic, but you bet, an effective one. Everyone is scared of abandonment, and that is what silent treatment makes you feel the most. It induces fear of not knowing what you have done wrong, what you might lose as a consequence, what you might get subjected to, and most importantly, of being deserted for the choices you make. It creates a sense of urgency in your mind, and you give in to doing predominantly what you don't want. 6. Love bombing. Manipulators are brainier than you and an eye could fathom. They play a bizarre tactic that leaves you baffled by making you feel extremely loved. They usher attention and love so much that you fear losing it. Human beings are hungry for affection and warmth anyway, and who would want to forsake it? You are swept off your feet and tricked into doing what you would not do otherwise. So watch out for such an outpour of love, especially unexpectedly. 7. Social comparison. To thrive in a world dominated by virtual reality, people are seen as extensively concerned with their social image. And people you keep close to your heart know how you look at yourself. Therefore, it gets easier for them to draw comparisons, either with your own social image or that of someone else you look up to, and constantly compare yourself with. You feel intimidated and try to look good to others. And that happens because you come under peer pressure. 8. Monetary benefit. Oh, The lure of financial benefit is the greatest of all. It is enough to make people go bonkers and do all the cowardly and hateful acts. All you need to do is switch to some news channel, and you get plentiful examples to prove that offenses were committed because they were offered millions of dollars in exchange. It is one of the oldest manipulation approaches and is almost fail-proof. Thus, never tell someone you are not very close to and who has power over you about your financial troubles. You never know how they would use that knowledge to regulate your plans to their advantage. 9. Guilt tripping. A much talked about tactic is guilt tripping, and rightly so. Manipulators know which nerve to touch so that you yield to action. And one that works wonders is by making you feel guilty about your choices. They treat you like you are indebted to them, and therefore hold you accountable for the same. Such manipulators misuse your trust to fulfill what they fancy, and voila, you are persuaded to indulge in something you would not do with the right mind. 10. Coercion. Imagine being told that you would be caused harm for having done something, or maybe for not doing that something. Frightening, right? That is what coercing does. Manipulators who coerce others into doing something induce fear about the consequences. The one on the other end of the barter is hooked into thinking about the outcomes more than their moves. It is an age-old technique, and the exact one to be used for crimes like blackmailing and kidnapping. Some qualities that qualify one as a manipulator. Extraversion. Extroverts can ace at expression and intimidate you with what they want. And many times, you might feel awkward saying no to their proposals. Candidness. They usually are open to ideas and can showcase their understanding and reason to convince you in no time. Amiableness. Amiable people tend to be ethically correct at all times. They may happen for a good cause if you get manipulated by them. Conscientiousness. Such people are careful with their intentions and employ wisdom rather than malice. If you have been able to address these qualities in someone around you, mind you, they do not instantaneously qualify as an evil manipulator. Perhaps people with these qualities are better equipped to manipulate others. Some may remind you to look at the positive sides and help you make better decisions. Remember to trust them, and not those who are only keen on extracting what benefits them instead. Fun fact check. Did you know that Niccolò Machiavelli was the greatest of all manipulators? It is after him that manipulators were titled Machiavellian. It is used to characterize a manipulator of the first order. You might have heard someone call a person Machiavellian, and now you know why. Now that you have learned the traits, you are good to go. Spot manipulators on the go and take control of your actions. Know the signs beforehand and set boundaries to keep them at bay. But don't also shoo away those with unselfish intentions who only try to bring you good. Thank you for watching the video. Please like, share, and subscribe to get all the updates.